From Washington, D.C., Roland Martin, good morning.
Dom, Sybil Guy, good morning. This morning, number 45 is in Singapore, meeting with the leader of North Korea for this summit, dealing with trying to keep North Korea from being a nuclear power. We shall see what happens there. Of course, he's the man who said that he does not need to prepare at all. It's touch and feel. And if you're a woman, I'm sure she understands that. And so it's been, and then, of course, he's fresh off of insulting all of our allies at the G7 summit in Canada. Mad at Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for saying how he stabbed us in the back. How dare he? Because he said, you're not going to just screw us with tariffs. We're going to hit you back. It's laughable what is happening. Joining us right now is Asha Castleberry. She's an adjunct professor at Fordham University, also teaches U.S. foreign policy, spent time in the U.S. Army as well. And, of course, she is an adjunct fellow at the American Security Project, a Defense Council member of the Truman National Security Project, and a fellow at the Foreign Policy Interrupted, which means she knows a lot about stuff we have no clue about. Asha, so you have Trump meeting with the North Korean leader. Okay, and when you hear the president say, I don't need to prepare, that has to scare the hell out of you because they're discussing nuclear weapons.
Yes, it's definitely a concern because what we see that's kind of somewhat different as far as U.S. government business is that we tend to iron out major issues before we conduct these high-level meetings. So it's very unprecedented that you're seeing that we're at the highest level of talking about something so important in terms of national security, and many of these major steps have not been ironed out. So it's definitely a major concern.
For a lot of folks who don't follow these type of meetings, I mean, why is this a big deal?
It's a big deal on so many occasions. One, with regard to our national security and dealing with nuclear weapons, which is the deadliest, the most dangerous weapons in the world. And when you have a state like North Korea with a leadership that's supposedly known as irrational, you look into that where over the years they have been able to advance their nuclear weapons program to where they've developed what we call an intercontinental ballistic missile, to where they can actually use that to shoot or fire at the United States. There was a rumor not too long ago where there's a possibility they can actually target Detroit. So when you have irrational leadership with one of the most dangerous weapons in the world, that is definitely a concern among Americans. But what also is a valid understanding here is that, you have a situation where, with regards to North Korea, is there a possibility that they can denuclearize? We have seen in the past that we've had some sort of agreements with them, but they pulled out. They pulled out the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So the inconsistent behavior has been part of their record. So now people are trying to fill out this is actually going to be a game changer. President Trump says yes, but we'll see it in due time.
What also jumps out here is when you talk about North Korea, folks are critical. I love the folks on the right, like Sean Hannity, who trashed President Obama for saying he wouldn't meet with a North Korean leader, but then saying how all of a sudden Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize here. Are you also concerned when you say, well, we haven't spent the time preparing for this, that America could end up getting taken to the woodshed because look, this guy could say, all right, fine, I'll give my stuff up. Give me $100 billion, and then Trump goes, "Sure, we'll do it," and not ask Congress, "Hey, where the money's coming from?"
Yes, and also this, when you look at the summit, this is like probably the initial step of trying to get them to denuclearize. It can take a very long time, even beyond the Trump administration, of actually getting them to relinquish their weapons. So I think
you mean like Iran, the Iran deal?
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. When President Obama first came in, he sent in Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to meet in Oman with the Iranians for a very long course of time to actually talk about seizing the Iranian nuclear program. So it definitely takes time. But I think what's concerning with regards under the negotiations between Trump and Kim Jong-un is what are the security guarantees for Kim Jong-un? That is the uncertainty piece to it, because when we look at the situation with the Libya model, Kim Jong-un is definitely aware that whatever happened to Gaddafi after he relinquished his weapons, the international community later on came in and invaded Libya. So,
and Asha, that's the thing that I keep trying to explain to people. First of all, I was debating this one dude in Atlanta airport, this white guy, who's kind of like, we should just blow him up. And I'm going, obviously, you've never heard of the fallout from a nuclear war. But what is crazy here, Tom, is that a Gaddafi wanted the nuclear weapon because he knew that would keep folks from taking over his country. And so it's not Asha, it's not a wild man. It's actually protection. India has a nuclear weapon. Pakistan has one. Israel has one. That's why folks don't want Iran to have one, because it actually serves a deterrent from other countries from taking your stuff over. Asha.
Right, exactly. And, of course, Kim Jong-un learned from what happened with Gaddafi. So everybody is saying, there was a poll that just came out from CBS News that 72% of Americans agree with, conducting diplomacy with North Korea, but they don't believe that North Korea will actually relinquish their nuclear weapons program because it gives them legitimacy, it gives them nuclear guarantees. But today, Secretary Mike Pompeo said the security guarantee they're willing to offer to North Koreans, which he didn't disclose, is something going to be new and different. But what is that, Chinese nuclear umbrella, where the Chinese can give them nuclear protection as they are agree upon to relinquish their nuclear weapons? Or is it us withdrawing our U.S. troops from South Korea, which the North Koreans really hate, especially when we conduct military exercises? So there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think the big question here is the security guarantees for North Korea.
Professor, I know that a lot of talk is about Donald Trump's feelings, and all of this can take place within seconds. He'll know whether this is going to go well or not so well for him or for the countries. But in your estimation, how important is it that or how likely is it that it's going to, be determined within the first few seconds? And what is your thought about the final outcome of this?
I disagree with that because I feel like just looking at the record of North Korea, it's very inconsistent. Mm-hmm. When the way they look at agreements is totally different how we look at it. So, they can agree upon okay, we'll do A, B, and C, and it may feel good or feel right at the moment, but then the next day it can change completely. So, going by this based on one day situation, it may not necessarily play out the same way it may tomorrow. I believe that in this situation, Kim Jong-un is gaining more legitimacy. Yep. For the American president to come to see him in Singapore and meet him at the highest bidder level, that's giving Kim Jong-un more legitimacy. So in my opinion, Kim Jong-un is kind of winning in more of this, especially if he does not stay committed to the agreement that they're going to have.
I'm scared half to death because here you are going to talk to a dictator about peace, and you're talking noise.
Yeah,
right.
Little Rocket Man, you called him.
Yeah. Also, by the way, we paid for his hotel room. I'm just saying.
And don't forget about their mutual friend Dennis Rodman.
Oh yeah, he's back. Asha Castleberry, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Always good to have black folks talking about foreign policy. You never see it on television. Only the Tom Joyner Morning Show.
Thank you.